This is the Bevo Buckets podcast on the Burn Orange Sports Network. Again, Will Iger alongside my co-host Seth Berger, Ryan Hopper. We talk Texas men's hoops in 30 minutes an hour weekly on the Burn Orange Sports Network YouTube page and across our various social media platforms. Second part of this special episode at Dirty Martin's Place, right by the University of Texas at Austin campus on Guadalupe Street. We're here with another special guest, General Manager of the Texas men's basketball program, Chris Ogden. Chris, how you doing today?
Doing great. How are you guys?
Doing great. Happy to have you.
Thanks for having me. And it's a great setup.
Sean earlier, thank you for helping set this up as well. You've been at Dirty Martin's before.
Oh yeah.
You're a student here, coach here for a long time. What's your go-to order?
Yeah,
at
simple.
Dirty Martin's?
Simple. Get the double with cheese and mayonnaise only, tater tots, and a drink. Depending on the time of the day, is whatever drink I pick.
Were you here as a student often? Good time?
Yeah, we came here quite a bit. Yeah, we did. And right across the street here, these apartments were not here. There was another spot over here called the Buffalo. So some little spot we used to come to over there too. Those condos were not there. So
okay, I'm sure.
This area was a nice little spot. I lived right over here. They may have torn that down too, man. Yeah.
I think they tore everything down.
I think they tore it down. I was just looking over there. I used to live right there.
Yeah. My brother lived in buildings that had been torn down.
Yeah,
so he wasn't here that long ago.
I lived in Orange. I think Orange Tree is still there.
Orange Tree's.
Yeah, I lived in Orange Tree for a year. That was a debacle. Yeah.
It's been not short of controversy. Also,
that's been an interesting. That all happened after I left.
Yes.
You're holding it down.
Yeah, safety.
You're in a unique position at the University of Texas. It's a relatively new position as general manager, and you wear a lot of different hats. Can you just give us a day in the life of Chris Ogden? I know it changes day to day, but can you just kind of give us a short version of what you do day to day?
Yeah, it does. It's kind of an evolving position in college. A day to day could be anywhere from negotiating a contract, putting a contract together, old school kind of recruiting things, relationship wise that go into that, building systems and efficiencies for roster building. Analytical models that we use to evaluate, watching film, and then talking hoops, which is actually what I love to do. Fundraising. There's some marketing stuff, some branding stuff. Kind of a lot of different hats depending on the day, depending on the season, the time of the year. Yeah, it keeps me engaged.
You talk about the analytics and the contract aspect. We're kind of shifting a little bit closer towards a professional sports ecosystem. Is there anybody that you lean on or anybody you look to for advice as this kind of transitions down that path?
Yeah, there's a few, but one in particular that I lean on heavily and is so great, generous with his time and very helpful is R.C. Buford with the San Antonio Spurs. In my lifetime, in my adult lifetime, there's been nobody more respected in building out an organization, front office and organization than him. I remember back in the early 2000s when the NBA really wasn't front office head coach yet. It wasn't there, and they were just following that for all these years, seeing how they did it from afar, and then also being able to lean on him and kind of teach me some things has been very helpful.
And would you say that the model that you see college heading towards, do you think it will kind of teeter off before it gets to a professional model, or do you think that there's still some searching with middle ground, it's more structuring?
I don't know if it'll ever go all the way to a pro model because you still have higher education involved. You still have young people like you guys. So it's I don't know if it'll go all the way there, but we'll see some form of it. I don't know if you'll ever see the separation of the front office and the coaching staff like it is in the pros. It'll always be a little more connected, I think. But you'll see some evolving into a more pro type organization. but I don't know if it'll get all the way there.
And, off the court, it is going a little bit more towards the NBA model, especially after NIL and everything going on and people hiring GMs. On the court, though, how do you think it's slightly shifting to the pro model of this, like, Daryl Morey-ification of basketball? Lots of threes, the mid-range is quote-unquote inefficient. How do you see this reflection on the court? Like, you kind of see Alabama playing like that, for instance.
Yeah, no, look, it's across the world of basketball, analytics, Mike D'Antoni, they've influenced the game more than anybody in my lifetime, just from the simple fact of that. Playing faster, possessions, analytics behind shot efficiency and offensive efficiency. So it's really affected. Obviously, at the pro level, it's affected it. But I will say, you get down to the playoffs here, you're not seeing that style as much as you saw in the regular season. Mm-hmm. Those are harder to come by. College and pros is apples to oranges. It is a totally different game. You could go to the European game and find more resemblance in the college game, just because of the rules alone. Defensive 3 seconds, things like that. The NBA three-point line is so far, and by the way, those are the best shooters in the world that do it every day. So it's not always the case in college where it's going to be that simple layups and threes. For instance, in the pro game, the post game has really been taken out of the game for the most part, except in the playoffs now. For the most part, it's been taken out of the game for efficiency purposes, because it gets called differently, and you don't draw fouls in the NBA, and that becomes a tough, hard contested two. Well, in college, you draw fouls. So if you have a post guy that can rebound and be big down there, you get fouls put on people. So it's certainly influenced it, but what I love about college is you're still going to see different styles win. You can run zone in college.
Yeah.
You can do different things to where you're going to see different systems and styles play out, but we all have some form of analytics that we believe in.
Absolutely.
Right. We saw firsthand last night Rudy Gobert, 2020 game. So the playoffs, clear that they kind of go back to that old style basketball in the post.
We see
defense.
Houston too. They went to 2 posts last night. They really iso'd
right. Şengün
on the block and back down. I mean, you haven't seen that in a while.
Right.
And so they're attacking where their advantage is. Because if you go to the other side with the Warriors, Draymond Green's the tallest guy on the court. That's wild.
Yeah.
In the NBA game, that's wild. When you're so used to, growing up, Tim Duncan and David Robinson and the center position, and it's interesting seeing the regular season and it spread out threes and layups, and then seeing in the playoffs here, you're seeing a lot of post up mismatch, like where is our advantage type play.
Right, it's a whole new game. Staying on the lines of professional basketball, you have really strong relationships with some of Texas basketball alumni, some of their best players, particularly because you've been with the program for a long time, and just because how well connected you are in the basketball world. How do you plan on incorporating some of Texas basketball's best players in the league in Europe and making them feel a part of this program?
Well, communication. Coach and I just talked about we're going to try to go to one of the first couple games of the Cavs and Pacers series, because there's a few players from Texas on that team, plus a few players that he coached at Arizona on that team. So so getting out, seeing those guys, letting them know they're always welcome back. One thing I know about former Texas players is they have a lot of pride in the program, so they naturally come back. Austin's a good place. They like to come to Austin. So just making them feel wanted. And a part of the program first, and it is their pro. It is the former players program, really, when it gets down to it. And then we're also working on some things to hopefully create an even stronger bond between all the former players from all the different coaches. A lot of times in college, what happens is this group played for Penders, and this group played for Barnes, and this for Shaka, and it gets separated that way. And we're trying to unite it all and bring it together, whether that's a reunion that we have, a golf tournament, something that we bring everybody together and maximize it, because we got a powerful alumni base.
Excited to see that big man matchup, Jared Allen, Miles Turner.
Yeah, pretty good,
Two
right?
Texas best, contrasting styles. Nonetheless.
And then we got Tristan Thompson on the Cavs.
Right.
He's still playing, and then
Benedict Mathurin, former
Benedict Mathurin. Yeah,
player
that's right.
Sean Miller.
He's got a couple. I can't remember the other one he said.
TJ McConnell.
TJ McConnell.
Yeah.
That's
Right.
right. Yeah.
He
TJ
was
McConnell.
great at U of A.
So that's exactly right.
Yeah, so those guys would be great for the program.
When you mentioned that, or Coach mentioned that we're going to be recruiting Texas first and foremost, but also the world, you talk about some of the different styles you see from Europe. Do you think that there is an innate advantage for recruiting European players who maybe have played professionally, or maybe like Ryan said, this positionless basketball where you see obviously a lot of European bigs with the ability to shoot?
Yeah, I think there's a few things happening. I think when you go all the way down to the youth level of basketball across the world, it's gotten better. And players, young players overseas are now being exposed to more early. So there was 20 years ago there was a sense that, well, they don't play against the athletes we have here, right? But it's not the case anymore. Whether it's Adidas Euro or Nike Summit or whatever it may be, there's all sorts of, or the FIBA stuff. Like, there's all sorts of competitions happening at under 16, under 15, under 17 years old. So they're getting more of that. Then you have the system that is set up in Europe and other countries, which is they identify these really young, talented players, a Wemby or whoever it may be, and they practice them against the older men, the older pro clubs, the national team players. So you automatically get better going against older, stronger people. Yeah. And then they put them down and play them with their age, and then they bring them back up. And so you're seeing these players on a whole get better with the way they train over there. And then the influence of the analytics and the skill and the spread out and IQ I think there's a stat. I think 6 of the last 7 MVPs in the NBA have been born outside the United States.
It's great for the game.
It's great for the game. The game is
7 of 8 now.
Maybe 7 of 8. If Shea gets it, that'll be 7 of 8.
There you go.
Yeah, so it's,
and Giannis is the third finalist.
Yeah, exactly.
It's going to be
exactly.
Yeah.
So and you saw it this past summer in the Olympics, which I thought was some of the best basketball I've ever seen.
Fun.
But if you really peel it back, where are we going? USA as a country. I mean, our best players were the oldest players, LeBron, KD, and Steph. They're the ones who made the plays, and they're up against. Jokic and these guys and the France team that's really good with Wemby. I mean, who's our next star? I think we'd all say Anthony Edwards or whatever it may be, but you're about to see this transition. But oh, by the way, the world's caught up in a way, and I think it's starting at the youth level. I do.
Absolutely, because they have the academy system there, like
right.
they have for soccer, and they'll sign you, like, for people who don't know it, 6 or 7 years old.
No doubt.
And they pick you up, and then you go to school there, and you're basically living and breathing back. It's kind of like IMG, but you're like 7 or 8, and then. Well,
on that point too, exactly. It's the academy system over there that does such a great job. Where if you bring it over here to the U.S. and you take the different circuits and what's going on, we have so many young, talented athletes that are playing basketball, but the system is a little broken in my opinion, because it becomes more about. Your Instagram following and your social media hype, and less about the training of the game. And so players over here have reclassified the other way to look to get better earlier, or to have a bigger profile earlier. But you're playing against younger players. Where if you go over to France or whatever, they're playing against older players. They're not worried about all that. They're concentrating on the game.
And you have a son, Bo Ogden,
Yeah.
who's one of the best players in the state, one of the best
Yep.
players in the nation. As he's climbing through the high school ranks and currently playing in the Adidas circuit, one, what have you noticed from spending time with him, being at his games? And two, what advice have you given him as he gets older in high school and gets recruited by, top tier college programs?
Yeah, well, through spending time with him, from middle school on in this is where I've noticed the difference in the systems. This is where I'm seeing this. Like, wait, what are we doing? Before I was recruiting it, but I wasn't really in the weeds of it from the other way, and so I'm like, man, this isn't right. And then knowing and learning what I know about what's going on in Europe and these other countries, like spending the time with him and going through this experience with him, has opened my eyes to that. The advice I give him is, number one, I try to educate him on what's going on in Australia with the NBL program. That's incredible. What's going on in Europe with these academies program, and then just keep reminding him the advice is get better. Don't worry about all this stuff. Get better, and that's really the key. And it's hard because you can get caught up in it here, especially when you see your buddies. That maybe you're better than, but they're getting more Instagram. They're getting ranked higher because of their Instagram following. So that's hard for a young kid to understand or comprehend. So you just gotta remind them it's about the work. You're playing the long game here.
And I would say also the emphasis of, especially in the summer, games.
Yeah.
Tournaments. Practice, once or twice a week.
Yeah.
And I feel like that doesn't always, that varies program by program, but that doesn't always work out for the development of our younger guys because they have more practices per week in Europe. But, I would say real quickly though, you have a lot of day-to-day responsibilities, and it was, I'm assuming made busier by the fact that you've been here through a few coaching changes, right? How difficult was it to still reach out to recruits when there's a staff change, still fill out a staff? There were so many moving parts. Like, how stressful was this past couple months?
Yeah, well, really, I just finished my 4th season back here, going into the 5th season back here on the 40 acres. And really, all 4 years were pretty crazy. From leaving UT Arlington as a head coach and coming with Beard as the first in the first general manager type position. At that time, we were all coming off COVID. People weren't back on campus, so we were still in the Irwin Center. Where the Moody Center was just being built up, the new practice facility. So there were so many. We were still taking COVID tests just to practice. Like, we were all crammed in a little one little office, like 8 of us coaching staff, and so there was craziness there. And then you get through that first year, and you move into the second year, and then everything happens with the coaching change there, and then you get going, and now the coaching change. So these 4 years, it's like, did I do something to somebody when is it like did I what did I do? But it's been crazy. But at the same time, you learn a lot because it's all moving 100 miles an hour. You've been a part of 3 new startup programs in a matter of 4 years at Texas, and so you learn so much with each of those because it's so fast and so furious. This last one, in particular, was they beat us in the NCAA tournament game, and then Sean Miller is named the head coach, and then we have a few conversations, and so aligned really early on in the way we see things, and it's been awesome too. And I like learning from other really elite basketball minds and coaches, but because of the nature of the dates of the transfer portal and what it is, like, we're dive all the way in and trying to put a team together in a matter of 20 days.
Man.
So
Wow.
All the craziness of NIL, all the craziness of the settlement, all the craziness of a coaching change, all the craziness that normally goes into a coaching change, will multiply that because of now you're at these deadlines of the House settlement, and getting players and portal and oh, by the way, the NCAA tournament's still going on, and I mean, it was just an absolute, it was bananas, and you say, well, at least you got 4 guys to come back, right? Well, 100%, and that's very important, but that took work. They don't know the new coaching staff, so there was work there to get those guys back, and then the 2 guys to follow him from Xavier. Well, there's work there because other teams are trying to steal him. And so once we got those 6 on board, you at least had some form of retention that you could build around. And then we just started adding, and we're really excited about the group we've added because I think 7 of our 8 rotational guys have played and won NCAA tournament games.
Huge.
Which is huge, right? And then all of our transfers have multiple years, so they could play another year or even 2 after this. So at least now you can build a program. The only ones without eligibility are the ones that returned to Texas, Tremont and Kendall and Pope, And so the beauty in that and having those guys return, even though they didn't play for Coach Miller, is they don't have to move, they don't have to change mailing addresses. Like there's some comfort in just having that stability a little bit. So.
And how important with all the chaos and the moving parts is having some stability at the top and Chris Del Conte and having, I assume, a lot of advanced scouting in advance, so you kind of know what you're looking for.
Yeah, well, having the best athletic director in the country, having alignment with him and the president's office and the board of regents, and it's because it all starts there, and they couldn't be a better group to work for and represent. That really is what starts it, and then look, you have all the other sports going in the right direction and at the top of their game, and so you guys know this. From a Texas fan base, from a student fan base, it's all right there, wheeling in the right direction. Now with the basketball program, we've got a guy that has a real plan and a vision for the way he wants to play. And that alone makes it an easier job to go identify players when you know exactly what the head coach wants, because you're really building for a head coach and a head coach's vision.
So you mentioned you're getting to know coach. You have 20 days to build your roster. But what is something that maybe most fans don't know about roster building? What do you have to take into account that most people don't know about, that besides just building a roster positionally or with players with certain capabilities?
Yeah. Well, number one, balancing of classes. Like you don't. I mean, it's hard. I mean, okay, great. If you have 8 seniors, but next year you're fielding a whole new team, so you don't have any returning players the following year, right? Whereas if you have 4 seniors, 4 juniors, 4 sophomores, now you've balanced the classes out where you can build a program. So that's one thing. Personalities, size and skill and basketball traits are one thing, but you've really got to think about personalities. There's got to be a Batman, there's got to be a Robin, and there's got to be a bunch of followers. Like, who's willing to play roles? So it's not just collecting players. You're putting together a team, and so all those kind of things go into it. And when you evaluate one single player, it's never one thing. It's never just the analytics. It's never just the film. It's never just the intel on the kid, competitive character and things like that. It's all of them. And so you've got to evaluate every one of them, and you can't skip those steps. You can't say, oh, well, his analytics are great, let's take him. Well, if you hadn't done it may work, but it may not, because you haven't done the work on the other side of it. And so I like to say this. When you have the analytics side over here, right? That's on one end of the spectrum. That is just numbers. That's zero emotion. That is zero emotion. Strictly, what are the numbers telling us about somebody, right? Okay.
Yeah.
Well, I think it would be unfair if you didn't go all the way to the other side and have the emotional side as well. You have to factor that in, or else you end up robotical, right? And so there's the beauty in coaching is finding that middle. The beauty in team building is finding that middle of the spectrum there.
Do you have any particular story of an eval you got from somebody from a really obscure source, like be it like a high school teacher or something like that, where you really dug in the weeds for something?
I've actually got I have to think deep on that, but I've got a very interesting story kind of like that. Not necessarily in evaluating, but I spent 2 years at Texas Tech as a coach with Chris Beard, right? And we came here and played Texas when Mo Bamba was here, okay? And you know, I mean, he's blocking 8 shots a game because he's just that long at the college level, right? So we come in here and we lost a close, hard-fought game. Well, Josh Abbott, the country singer, he's a Texas Tech graduate, but he lives here in Austin. And so he said something to me after the game, and he said, he's like, hey, you know, because we made a big point of don't get your shot blocked, get in there 2 feet, kick out. He said, hey, I'm just curious, man, why would you not just drive at him as much as you can, knowing he's going to block a couple, but maybe he gets 3 or 4 fouls. So I'm like, so I got to thinking about it. And then they came back to play us at Texas Tech later on in the season. It was my scout. I said, man, this sumbitch might be right, you know? So I go in there and I hand Beard the scouting report, and at the bottom I put outside the box idea. And I described that, you know. I didn't give Josh Abbott credit on that one, but I described it, and so we did it, and it worked.
There you go.
So the country music singer helped us win a game, you know. And so back to evaluation, like sometimes you're so in the weeds of things that people from the outside that aren't in the weeds, they can actually help kind of open some thought process of you. I've had it happen multiple times. Evaluating a player, I can't think of one specific, but you know it has happened. I'm sure.
For us, that would be like writer's block.
Yeah.
You know, writing a paper, just need a fresh set of eyes on it.
100%.
No idea where it comes from, but it might be your buddy who stumbles in, he's drunk. He says, "How about that?"
Yeah.
You never know where it's going to come
100%.
from. Sometimes you just need a fresh set of eyes.
It's the same thing. It's the exact same thing, and it's happened to me so many times. I mean, it might be my wife. Yeah. I remember when I was coaching at UT Arlington. You know, whatever. We can't figure out something. I'm mad at my team. No. You know, she doesn't know about basketball, right? But she says something, you know. Damn, that makes sense, you know. I'm not going to tell her that, but that makes sense, you know, that I've actually used. Then I go use it, and eventually
Well, it's like the old story of Andy Reid famously getting a play from the janitor.
Yeah.
And he's watching at home, and he's like, honey, they ran my place. She's like, stop playing. No, they didn't. And apparently they did.
Yeah.
There you go.
No, it happens. It happens.
You've been through a lot of change here, right? You've had the stress of building a roster, scouting players, retaining talent, attracting talent to the university. I think the one thing that's remained consistent with you is the pride and passion that you have for the state, that you have for the university. Mr. Basketball in the state of Texas in the late 90s. You've spent the majority of your life here in the state of Texas, and a lot of it at the university. Can't think of many people who bleed burnt orange more than you do. How important has this state been and this university been for you, and has it made things at all easier during this stressful time of NIL, transfer portal, coaching changes?
Yeah, no, it's a good question. First of all, on the state itself, I've only lived outside the state 1 year. I was coaching at the University of Tennessee. So otherwise, my life has been here in the state of Texas. Grew up in a small town. Used to come to Austin for the state basketball tournaments, just as a spectator when I was little. And so Austin has always been this like mysterious place in Texas too, right? And so the state of Texas has raised me from the grassroots basketball to the high school basketball to then coming to school here. I mean, the state it means a lot to me. The university, I can't even describe to you. You know, where I grew up. I mean, literally, it's 3 red lights. It's like small town Texas. It's like, you know, it's what most outsiders picture of Texas.
Yeah.
Oil fields and flat and ranch, and like it is small town Texas, and one thing I really thank my parents for is they allowed me to make my decision. Texas Tech was an hour away from me growing up. I used to go to those basketball games and whatnot, football games and all the deals. And so that would have been an easy choice for me, right, and comfortable choice for me. They let me make my decision. I came to Texas, and I can't even, people wanted to just sit down and whiteboard and pros and cons. Nope. Just one day I'm going to Texas. And so there was like this magic that brought me here that probably brought all of you here too. But anyway, so because of that, making that decision, now then being at the University of Texas, it changed my life. Who knows where I would be if I would have stayed out there. I'd have went to Lubbock. I may still be out there, maybe working in an oil field. I don't know. But coming to the university changed my life. Met my wife here. She was actually student body president.
Wow.
Yeah. She was student body president our senior year, which.
First gentleman.
Yeah. Exactly right. That's exactly right, bud. That's exactly right. Yeah, that's right. And that's. I was the first gentleman in Texas. That's perfect, man. And absolutely done. That's done. And so don't know how I started dating and then married the student body president. I have no idea, but had some good riz back in the day. But no, it changed my life. It's pretty cool. And then she went to law school here, and I continued as a coach, and so it's really just been a big part of my life at this point. Yeah. So and it's ups and downs. Like anything, it's been some ups and downs and craziness and change. But one thing that's never changed is the pride and appreciation I have for the place.
Yeah, well, you guys have anything else? Can we get to a couple Texas quick hitters?
Yeah. Sure.
First, you got a preference on the what's your favorite Texas beer? I think I know the answer to this because we talked about it recently, but can we get your favorite?
Yeah,
Texas beer?
I know what you're thinking. You're thinking it's Lone Star, but it's not. It's Shiner Bock.
That's what I was thinking.
Yeah, Shiner Bock.
Yeah, someone who doesn't like Lone Star.
Yeah.
So, there you go.
Yeah, Shiner Bock is my favorite Texas beer.
There you go.
Another small town, Shiner.
Yeah, Shiner. Have you been there?
I heard it's only a couple stoplights.
Yeah. It's a cool place. You should check it out.
Really?
Yeah, they got a great bar there called Upstairs Downstairs, and it's an old building in the town square, and yeah, it's.
So if there's any stud basketball player coming out of Shiner, you're gonna be the one to raise your hand and say, "I'll go hit."
Done, Coach. I got this one.
I got it.
This one. Yeah, really anywhere in Texas. One of my favorite. I don't have many hobbies. Like I don't golf. I don't have hobbies. Like Coach said earlier, I really just watch basketball. Every once in a while, I'll get into Ted Lasso or something. I'll catch a show that I like, and then here we go. But very rare. But one thing I love doing is road trips, especially Texas road trips. And so I'll go, stopped at, I'll go find the hole in the wall, the small town, the whatever it may be, across Texas. I love it, absolutely love it. Yeah.
So then, as three out-of-staters, give us a place that might not be on our radar that we definitely should check out in Texas.
All right. Bandera, Texas. You ever been there?
No.
Cowboy capital of the world. Okay. Bandera, Texas. It's out. It's not too far from here. It's about an hour west of San Antonio.
Okay.
So you could cut beautiful road. You could either go the rookie route through San Antonio, or you could go the veteran route through the hill country, and get to Bandera, Texas. And they have this one bar called Archie Blues. Archie Blues is where they still have places where you could ride your horse up and tie your horse up and go into the bar and have a cold beer. They've got hay on the floor to help with the two-stepping.
Wow.
And it's Archie Blues. When Willie Nelson and Waylon Jennings and the boys back in the day were kind of like, to hell with Nashville, they ended up coming back to Texas, and they used to play in this place called Archie Blues.
Wow.
What's your dream Texan dinner? You get to pick 3 or 4 guests, but they have to be either from Texas or living most of their life in Texas.
Man, that's a tough one.
We'll take affiliated with the university.
No. This is a good one. I'm gonna throw LBJ in there.
Okay.
Lyndon Baines Johnson. I'm gonna throw him in there. I'm gonna throw Earl Campbell in there. And
More legend.
it's tough, man. That's tough. Willie Nelson.
There you go.
I'll tell you this: if
That's a hell of a dinner.
Yeah.
you got to make sure you're not sitting next to LBJ because I know he had a reputation for being a really close talker. If you
Oh,
go
really?
to the LBJ Museum, Presidential Library, they have a ton of pictures of him just like leaning over, talking to his aides face to face. It is, and you're like,
Yeah.
if they were the quotes, like, you
The
could still
re-
smell morning coffee on his breath. Like,
Yeah. The reason I would choose him because I just heard he's it has nothing to do with politics. Nothing. It has everything. I heard he's a great storyteller. Yeah.
I'm sure he's got a lot of stories. He would have a lot of stories.
Yeah. I would just like to hear his stories. You know. You know. Earl, obviously, his stories, and then Willie. I mean, good God, that's a good night.
He's lived multiple lifetimes.
That's a good night right there, man.
He's still playing in his 90s.
Oh,
guys.
Yeah. That's a good night.
So I guess the age-old
But
Texas,
Bun B, throw Bun B in there and be a
Okay,
nice
yeah.
one. You know.
the age-old Texas cuisine question: Tex-Mex or barbecue?
Tex-Mex.
Okay, I tend to agree.
If it was
Tex-Mex.
Mexican versus barbecue, would you take barbecue or would you just go Mexican?
Now, yeah, that's tough. That's tough. Barbecue. Yeah, the Tex-Mex is different than just Mexican. Yeah, no doubt.
Here's Tex-Mex spot in Austin. Favorite or couple.
Man, that's,
2 or 3.
I got to go couple. But the OG one to me is Maudie's. I love Maudie's, but you can't not mention Matt's El Rancho in there. And then I'll tell you a Mexican food spot that's unbelievable is Fonda San Miguel. Have you been there? Yeah. No, it's really good. El Patio. That's an old but goodie.
It's
Yeah.
right across the corner from my place.
Yeah. El Patio's a great one too, man. It is. Yeah.
Well, I think you guys have anything else?
I don't think so.
With Tex-Mex, like you go in, sit down, El Patio, Monty's, wherever it is. Like, what are you ordering? Like, what's your go-to?
Well, Matt's a knockout. First of all,
Bob Armstrong did.
yeah. Oh man. I feel like I switch it around.
Yeah.
I feel like burger places. Like I have a general burger that I like, similar toppings. Tex-Mex, I'll float around because like all of it's good.
No, I hear you. I hear you.
Give me
Look
Tex.
at the menu and say, okay. And then we just go from
Yeah.
there. Hand it right back. Yep, that works.
I'm a Tex-Mex breakfast guy through and through.
Yeah,
Cisco's,
Cisco's.
Maudie's.
Love it.
So Cisco's Migas plate.
Yeah.
I'm taking out of any breakfast dish
No, I'm with
in
you.
the city.
I'm
That
with
is
you.
1-1. They got a great cup of coffee too.
Yeah, Cisco's is great.
I haven't.
East Austin.
Oh, that's a good one.
I
That's a
saw it on
good
Man
one.
vs. Food years ago.
Oh my god.
Yeah, it's a good one. Yeah, I haven't been there in a while. Cisco's. I go to Cisco's a lot. Yeah, Cisco's.
I gotta try that.
Don's Depot. We're going to Don's. We gotta go to Don's Depot before we're out of here.
Have y'all not been to Don's
You
Depot?
told us to go last time.
I am so disappointed,
I'm
man.
disappointed. I'm like, come on.
Y'all
Next
have
week.
to.
Coach is gonna
And
kill
two-
me. I haven't gone there yet. I'm like,
Y'all have to. Y'all should take your parents to Don's Depot. Dead serious. Y'all should go. Y'all should take. Actually, when y'all's parents come in town, let's all go to Don's Depot. How about that?
I'm
next,
there.
next Thursday,
Just
Don's
let me
Depot.
know.
So
Yeah,
down.
yeah.
Will, but as a Californian yourself, Cali-Mex, like the fish tacos, or like Tex-Mex?
I think I'm going Tex-Mex.
Okay, yeah.
Maybe
Okay.
controversial.
I do like
I'm
fish
taking,
tacos, though.
Oh, yeah.
I'm taking a California taco probably over a Texas taco.
Okay.
My favorite taco places at home, I think, are better than here.
What is it at home?
At home, it's this place called La Cañada, but it's
Yeah.
a city in Los Angeles,
Yeah.
but it's West LA, right by South Central.
Okay.
Caesar Vasquez, good friend of mine, his family used to own the spot.
Okay,
so
yeah.
Really good
Nice.
spot out there.
Caesar.
The spice hits you hard there, but
Yeah.
they got great tacos. They got everything. Al Pastor always.
Oh yeah.
For sure. So,
That's
but the
great.
breakfast tacos here are the best.
Yeah, before I got here,
So-
I'd never really heard of a taco for breakfast.
I know.
Yeah,
I
so
know.
Yeah.
it's nice.
Yeah.
This is like wake up in the morning
I-
and eat a leftover taco.
No, that's right. That's right. I can go tacos every meal. I mean, think about it. You can literally throw anything in a tortilla and you're good to go. Yeah, good to go.
Yeah. All right.
All right. Well, thank you so much.
Thank
for,
you guys.
for joining
Enjoyed
us.
it,
It was
yeah.
a pleasure.
Yeah.
And thank you guys so much for joining us on the Burn Orange Sports Network. We are the Bevo Buckets Podcast. Please Follow us on Instagram and Twitter at BurnOrangeSN, and our individual Twitter pages at Ryan_Hopper31, at SethBurger02, and at Will_Iger. And subscribe to our YouTube page at the Burn Orange Sports Network. Again, Will Iger alongside Seth Berger, Ryan Hopper, Chris Ogden, meet Sean Miller on the podcast earlier today. And we're at the legendary Dirty Martin's Place right down the road from the University of Texas Austin campus, the 40 acres. And again, thank you for tuning into a special edition episode of the Burn Orange Sports Network. We'll be back soon, hopefully this summer, with a couple off-season pods. Maybe we'll have Sean, Chris on again. Maybe we'll have a couple players. So stay tuned for more from the Burn Orange Sports Network and from the Bevo Buckets podcast. And thank you again all for joining us. Have a good one, everyone.